Hello everyone, welcome to the 11th Yatagarasu video that I'll be putting out. This is the 7th out of 8 character primers. Today's video will be on Ko, who is the counterpart to Crow. They look very similar, their sprites are, they're kind of swaps of each other, but their moves are different mechanically in a few ways, and I'll go ahead and go over what's going on there. Let's see what makes Ko, a unique character. It's easy to mix up their names sometimes. The most important thing is that Ko is a male. Yes, that is the most important thing. I'm kidding, but it can be confusing. Ko is a male. This is referenced a few times in the story mode. Now, Ko has 3 special moves, the same 3 special moves that Crow has. Fireball, Uppercut, and Hurricane Kick, Whirlwind Kick, Tatsu, whatever you want to call it. Same 3 special moves, but they're different in a couple of ways. So let's start with the Fireball. Light Fireball is slow, Hard Fireball is fast, notice they do the same damage. EX Fireball does a bunch of damage, travels very fast, recovers near instantly, and knocks the opponent into the air, and you can get a super afterwards. I want to stress that the EX Fireball really does recover way faster, but I mean this in comparison to the very bad regular Fireball. If you're used to playing Shoto characters by doing like a normal into a fireball, and you're using that as a way to create a safe scenario for yourself, that doesn't really work with Ko's normal fireball. You're going to have to do the EX fireball if you want to do that. Notice that the EX fireball by itself is just barely frame disadvantage, so a little further away, let's set it to guard 3 times, a little further away, this will be even on block or even frame advantage depending on how far away you are, but the point is EX Fireball is the only one that's actually safe to cancel into. So that's something you'll want to know. Also, all 3 versions are cancelable into Super on Whiff. Okay, now let's move on to Uppercut. Okay, the Uppercut, the light and the hard version do just about the same damage. The damage difference between them is very minimal. The hard version only doing about 800 extra damage, but the EX version does about 2,500 damage over the light version, and about 2,000 over the hard version, so that's the good damage option. All 3 versions are invincible to lows and to throws. However, boom. That said, the light version, as you can see here, actually loses to high attacks. So if you want to wake up with an uppercut, you have to use the hard or the EX version if you want to make sure that it beats everything. The light version will only beat lows and throws. Okay? And that's basically all there is to know about Ko's uppercut. Now, quarterback kick, this move has a lot of notes. Okay? The quarter circle back kick is similar to Ryu and Ken. If you are familiar with that game, Ken, when he does his quarterback kick, he has a little knee at the front that hits on the way up, and Ko has this, and Ryu does not have this, and Crow in this game does not have this. So that little knee, that hit actually does more damage than the other hits in the special move do. The light version hits 3 times total, the knee and then 2. The hard version hits 5. The knee and then 4. The EX version hits with the knee and then 5 more hits for a total of 6, and also causes a juggle state, where again, you can combo super afterwards. The first hit is also super cancelable if you have very fast execution. Now, what about these moves on hit and on block? Because you might have noticed Ko's quarter circle back kick does not knock down, whereas Crow's did. So since it doesn't knock down, we'll want to know where the advantage is afterwards. And let's record the dummy to jump immediately. If this hits, the light version, you are even on frames. Neither of you have advantage or disadvantage, and so you can try to, say, make your opponent scared with an uppercut, go for a throw. You want to go for a mix-up of some kind if you go into the light quarterback kick. If you go into the hard version, okay, and it hits, you actually have frame disadvantage. How much frame disadvantage? Well, that doesn't look like a whole lot, but now I'm going to record the dummy to block after doing this. And I want you to see here that even though this move hit, and even though the dummy is set to block, and assuming my execution isn't terrible, I can actually punish this on hit. So the hard version of the Tatsu is not a very attractive combo option, because your opponent will be able to punish you on hit. That's not good. One more time. There we go. Yeah, that's punishable on hit, and that is not an attractive thing. The EX version, of course, knocks into the air. So that is obviously not punishable. Now, what about on block? And on block, let's set the dummy to crouch here. You should see that if the dummy actually crouches, well, if your opponent is crouching, if you do the light or the hard version of this, you'll sail right over their head, and they can whiff punish you. They can hit you on the way down, and there's nothing you can do. So if your opponent is guarding, it's generally going to be a bad idea to go for Tatsus just in the same vein. Now, the EX version can be used against somebody that's blocking, maybe, say, for guard break. I'm going to turn on the guard meter here. And you can get a nice chunk out of their gauge if you go for the EX Tatsu here. But ultimately, that's one of the only things it's good for, like on block. Your opponent can punish the hard version on block, and they can punish the EX version on block, and if they're standing and it doesn't sail over their head, then they can also punish the hard version. The light version does give frame disadvantage. I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. On block, but it's not a terrible amount of frame disadvantage. Let's see if I can punish that. Block. Okay. Not able to punish that one. See that? So the light version is... It's okay to use on block if they're standing, but honestly, if they crouch, it's going to be a bad thing. Just in a nutshell, Ko's Fireball and his quarterback kick both are terrible to use on block. You're going to want to not go into those on block. So get rid of that habit if you do have that. And of course, the uppercut is terrible as well to be using on block. You need to use more normals and basic mix-ups. Make sure you don't abuse your special moves with Ko. Now, what about supers? Supers. Quarter forward punch is a fireball super. It does a nice amount of damage. Why is he guarding? There he is. Turn that off. Turn that one hit after. There we go. Shaboom. It does a nice chunky piece of damage, especially if you go into it from, say, a special move. You can juggle into it in a handful of different ways. It does 5 hits. Now, you'll want to see what happens on Wake Up here. It's actually possible. If you use this on Wake Up, you can beat meaty attacks, meaty lows, meaty highs, and even meaty throws. However, the invincibility on it is very brief, but the startup takes a long time. So what that actually means is if your opponent is in your face and you activate a super, but they didn't do anything, then they could just hit any button they want, because you do not have any invincibility after just a couple of frames have passed. And so this is not really a great option to use unless you know your opponent is going to wake up with something. I'm going to try to throw him right away. Right there. Notice that one missed. So you've got a little bit of invincibility, but not enough to really... It's not going to work if your opponent just sits there and they see that super. They'll be able to blow it up for free. So you got to be very careful with that. Funnily enough, Super 2 has a little bit more damage than Super 1. This, just like Crow, is a guard break super. And what this means is if your opponent is guarding, no matter how full their meter is, boom, you get some guaranteed damage. What Crow gets is 4,000 damage guaranteed in a little juggle. Ko just gets the 5,000 guaranteed damage and knocks away. So they can't really block this, but they can parry that first hit. I'll just go ahead and demonstrate. Yeah. Don't want to throw this out too much. It's not that hard to parry, in all honesty. But it does do some very, very nice damage. And similar to Super 1, the invincibility has a very similar story, where there's a couple of brief frames of invincibility at the start that you could use to beat something, but if they use it... Excuse me, but if you use it and you don't catch anything, they can just blow you up for free. One more time. Whoop. One more time. So again, very, very brief invincibility. Marginally useful on Wake Up, but I'd probably just want to stick to uppercuts with Ko in general. Now the normals that you're going to want to know about, Ko does have a close normal, close hard punch, just like his brother Crow. I don't even think they're brothers, I honestly don't know. I should look into that. But there's a close hard punch, and this will be big in your combos. You can cancel into some big damage there. Now, he has the same overhead, forward light punch. Just like with Crow, this hits twice, and this does need to be blocked high. Ding, 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 ding. Block high, block low. The dummy is set to automatically guard because they're silly. There we go. Block high, block low. There we go. Hits twice. Nice chunky damage. Now, forward hard kick. This is very similar as to Crow's in the sense that this has an interesting property. When you use forward hard kick, this is not an overhead. This can be blocked both high and low. Walking backwards. That's the high block. That's the low block. So you can see it's not an overhead. But what's interesting about it is after you land, you can actually cancel the landing recovery if the forward hard kick makes contact. You would normally not be able to let the forward hard kick finish and then do an uppercut. That doesn't work. However, you can do an uppercut, or you can do a fireball, or you can do a super the instant that you land from this special move. So you can cancel the recovery of it with specials. But notice that you can't cancel it when it makes contact. Like, for example, you would with a normal. Like with one of your normal attacks, you cancel it the moment it makes contact. Forward hard kick, you cannot cancel when it makes contact, but if it does make contact and it hits or is blocked, then the moment you land, you can cancel that landing recovery with a special move. And Ko can combo into the light Tatsu in this way to make some interesting mix-up scenarios after that. There we go. And his crouching light punches and kicks are for the most part interchangeable. You can do 3 of these pretty much anytime you want. And they're going to enable your basic combos and block strings. You're going to be using these normals quite a lot. Now, going on to combos. What if you're Ko and you land a universal guard break at the maximum range that this reaches? If that happens, you can combo the first super, which travels very, very fast. Boom. Ooh, it just missed. There we go. Okay. If you're at the very, very, very tip, this is not going to work. But if you're just a hair closer, then that should work. But if you are at the very, very, very tip, quarter circle back hard kick will still reach. Oh, curses foiled again. There we go. Okay. There we go. EX version should still reach. It does travel a little bit faster. There we go. The omit idle 1 lets me know that that is going to be semi-consistent. Just my timing was off on the other ones. Give me that EX. Give me that EX. There we go. Okay, so that's doable, but that will take some practice. Ultimately with Ko, if you're at the maximum range, if these combos are not consistent for you, you might not want to use it much at the tip, and you'll want to be closer, where of course, you can get much, much more very easily. But at the tip, Ko does not have some great doesn't really have a terrible amount of great stuff on that guard break. Now, what about the universal overhead? Everyone gets a combo in this game if you land a universal overhead against someone crouching. So what does Ko get? And the answer for that is you can combo a low fierce on 6 of the 8 characters in the game. For whatever reason, Hanzo and Juzumaru are a little bit taller when you hit them with the universal overhead, so you don't get as much hit advantage against them. Against Hanzo and Juzumaru, you will not be able to combo low fierce, but against every character in the game, you can combo standing fierce. This does work on Juzumaru and Hanzo. So this would be a good combo to go for. You could go into Fireball and then to Super 1. You could go straight into Uppercut. It's just a question of your comfort level. If the close fierce is too hard, comboing into 2 low jabs should be relatively easy. Let's see here. 2500, 2750. So just like with Crow, low jab does a little bit more damage, and so you're going to want to go into jabs to get a little bit of extra damage on your combos. Oops. Now, so that's universal overhead. That's guard break. Now, there's a rule of thumb that you want to think about. If you remember, I was talking about Ko's special moves. There's a rule of thumb with your combos here. The hard kick version of Hurricane Kick is punishable on hit, so that's a bad combo ender. So what do you want to combo into? You want to combo into the light Hurricane Kick, so you can do a mix-up afterwards, or you want to combo into Uppercut, or you want to combo into a Super. Those are the things that are going to be safe to do. So say you land a close fierce, you could just go straight into a fierce uppercut, and that's some nice chunky damage. Go into light Tatsu, then go for a mix-up. What if you land a forward hard kick? If you land a forward hard kick, and you have some good reaction time and can confirm it, you could absolutely go into the uppercut for damage, or you could go into the Tatsu, the light one again, and then go for the mix-up after that. Okay, if you combo with light attacks, what you want to keep in mind is that you cannot get the first super if you use 3 light attacks. Okay, it's possible to get it on 3 jabs if you get those jabs out as fast as possible, but if you space out the jabs too much, then it will not combo. So if you're using lights and you want to go into a super, third strike style, short super, you generally only want to use 2 light attacks, and you cannot combo into the second super with lights. Boom. Now, if your opponent is crouching, it's possible to combo into a Tatsu, but it's difficult, and I want to go ahead and explain what I mean by that right here. Okay, so if you, let's say you do 3 crouching attacks. Hard Tatsu misses, light Tatsu misses, but the EX will work, but that costs meter. What if I do just 2? Still misses, still misses. Doesn't seem like there's anything I can do there. Well, let's try jabs. 3 jabs, nothing. 3 jabs, nothing. Let's try 2. There we go. If you do 2 low jabs and you do them quickly, you can combo into the meterless Hurricane Kicks against a crouching opponent. But if you do the jabs too slow, then it will not work. So you need to make sure that you do 2 jabs quickly. And then you can combo into the meterless light Hurricane Kick, and then do the same mix-up scenario that you like to do from before. If you're not comfortable with that, or if you like to use the light kicks, then you're going to need to go into uppercut if you don't have any meter. Or you need to stick to 2 light attacks and go straight to super. Also, interestingly enough, you should be able to use standing jab in most of these combos, so if you like to use crouching light kick stand jab, if that makes the combo to uppercut a little bit easier for you. Okay, so those are the things you'll want to keep in mind when you think about Ko's combos. And let me just show you an interesting combo that I found here. If you have 2 bars and you want to be a little flashy, you'll actually get all the hits on both supers if you do this interesting super cancel here. That's not very good damage, but I just thought that was interesting enough to show. Now, last little bit, what about BL counters? What about them? Let's see. If you get a BL counter with Ko, what you get afterwards is going to be very... It's It's going to depend a lot on where you are on the screen and how good your execution is, okay? When you land a BL counter with Ko, you can get, it's possible to get 5 extra hits. But what you actually get those hits with is going to be very different from Crow. Crow can just do the light hurricane kick over and over. Unfortunately, Ko cannot do that. Ko's light hurricane kick actually causes an air reset. Okay? And when it causes that air reset, there's nothing you can do afterwards. So, one thing you can do if you do land a BL counter against someone that tries to air parry, you could just do Super 1, and that's gigantic damage, actually. Because of how fast this super travels, this is actually doable practically anywhere on the screen. So if you have a bar, you can just, you know, skip the hard stuff and just go straight to super. 18,000 is over a third of their life. Very, very nice damage. Alternatively, another thing you could do is you could air reset them, and after you air reset them, try to force them to air parry the super. Like so. Notice that the combo counter turns red. You can actually force people to parry that. If they don't parry that, then they're gonna get hit. Okay? So you could go for that reset if you want, for that little mind game factor there. Now, another thing you could do, if you are able to land a BL counter and your opponent is near the corner or in the corner, you can use forward hard kick, yes, forward hard kick, to juggle them in the air. Notice I got 2. And after you do forward hard kicks, you can do 2. It's possible to do 3, but it's very strict. Then, you can do close fierce into fierce uppercut for a nice combo there. And all of that is guaranteed. Now another thing you could do is you could use that recovery cancel of the forward hard kick to go into an uppercut, and then go into more uppercuts. Ko has a bit of options, honestly, with his BL counter combo, and most of them end up at about the same amount of damage. So it'll come down to your style which one you want to do. Personally, I like to stick to just double forward kick. Close fierce, that's nice easy damage. Or I might take the reset into super, or I'll just go straight into the super where it's guaranteed. And if you want to get extra fancy, you can even juggle with universal overhead or with forward light punch. So some very fun stuff Ko can do off the BL counter, but I would just stick to the forward hard kick variations in the corner, and mid-screen just go for super, or, all else fails, just set them up for another mix-up. Boom. So you get that BL counter, get that jumping reset, and then just go to their face and go for a mix-up. So Ko's goal ultimately is very similar to Crow's. Very malleable moveset. You can play offensively or defensively to your style, and their good pokes are very similar as well. Standing fierce, standing hard kick. One of the major differences is the standing fierce here. For both Crow and Ko, this is super cancelable, but Crow can't get anything off of standing fierce, whereas Ko can always get super 1. Or should I say almost always. Almost always. If you use standing hard punch as a smart counter poke, you can get lots of good supers in footsie situations with Ko that Crow would not be able to get. Also, the Tatsu, the light version leading into mix-up, allows Ko to stay in an opponent's face, whereas Crow would usually have a little bit of trouble considering his combo enders. Ultimately, it's going to be up to your style with both Crow and Ko how you want to play. Ko is, in my opinion, more suited to blow your opponent up on footsies, and with the super fireball, and also because of how fast that EX fireball is, Ko is a little bit better at using, at the very least, the EX version of the fireball to make people want to not poke. But ultimately, they end up being very similar. It comes down to how much you want to use forward hard kick, how much do you want to use, say, their super 2, because then Crow's is a little bit better. How much do you like Ko's fireball super and the ability to just go fierce into super? You know, these are the differences you'll want to consider when you look at these characters. I like Ko a little bit better. Maybe you'll like Crow. But that's just about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. 7 down, 1 to go. The Jet video will be done very soon. I hope you learned something, and I will see you guys soon.